before this body today. As a Black woman, I do not take testifying in opposition of another Black woman lightly. Therefore, I base my testimony solely on community concerns about her performance, coupled with the data that I reviewed in the 2021 Judicial Performance Evaluation Summary sanctioned under Code 17-1-100. The 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution guarantees citizens the most fundamental right to due process. And while people often focus on policing and criminal justice processing as the cornerstones of due process, perhaps the most fundamental yet under-observed component of due process occurs at the court level. Access to fair trials, both jury and especially bench trials, and judicial processes that further due process in a courtroom are absolutely dependent.
You can slip right there if you...
Are absolutely dependent upon the manner and depth to which judges such as O'Berry understand and apply the law, adhere to the principles of the Judicial Code of Conduct, and demonstrate a steadfast respect for and commitment to upholding the Constitution in the execution of their duties on the bench. Judge O'Berry not only ranks last of all of her peers in every court, but she in many cases scores more than 20 points lower than the average score of all of her peers in the essential categories that ensure due process. I believe she referred to them here as soft skills. Fairness, 72, she ranks last. Impartiality, 75, she ranks last. Knowledge of the law, 72, she ranks second to last. Faithfulness to the law, 74.8, she ties for last. And under the very important category of no bias or prejudice, as a Black woman, she only ranks fourth from last. On a bell curve, her scores are negative outliers, which represent being abnormally lower than the median range. Where Judge O'Berry's fairness, impartiality, knowledge of the law, faithfulness to the law, bias, and prejudice disparately impact her performance on the bench, it impacts the court, her peers, our Constitution, the people, and our communities that are most often comprised of working class poor communities and communities of color. I respect that Judge O'Berry may be a stellar woman, a stellar friend, and a stellar colleague, but her impact reaches farther than that. So I encourage this body to use her performance evaluation as a basis and a foundation for its decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul, Michelle Williams, try to keep it shorter, 30 seconds if possible. Michelle Williams, is there Michelle Williams here? Okay, if not, Paul Taylor, is there Paul Taylor here?
I'm going to be filling in for Paul Taylor. My name is Bakira Shabazz.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Try to keep it short if you can.
I will most certainly do that. As president of the Criminal and Justice Reform Network, First Alliance Consultant, Mothers Against Mandatory Minimums, and One City, One Voice, I have been granted the authority to oppose the appointment of Judge Pamela O'Berry to Circuit Court of Chesterfield. We have unanimously come to our decision not to support the appointment because Miss Judge O'Berry has not rendered judgment in the spirit of justice over the course of her serving in General District Court. She has not taken the time to fully listen to defendants, thus bringing into question her ability to uphold and support due process. She has been discriminative to defendants in eviction proceedings, especially where cases respondents are Section 8 voucher holders. Judge O'Berry hasn't and doesn't embody the spirit of justice that our city nor state can be proud of. As cases are starting to be audited and appealed, we see case law was really used to provide the best possible outcomes on her cases, and instead she used her own personal biases to judge these cases. Her abuse of authority calls into question her ability to serve as judge in a higher court. And for these most important reasons, our aforementioned organizations and our members unanimously voted against appointing Ms. O'Berry. And you'll see that there is a stark difference between the community who she serves versus her colleagues and her friends. And as a judge appointment, this is not about your friends and your colleagues. This is about the community. And I urge you all to make sure that you are voting in spirit of the community and not friendship.
Thank you. Zenobia B-Y? Is Zenobia B? All right, Richard Walker. Richard Walker.
Good afternoon, Senator Edwards and committee. I appreciate you allowing me the time to speak. I'm the founder and CEO of Bridging the Gap in Virginia, a big advocate for criminal justice reform, as well as advocating for individuals that's coming in before most of these courts. I am greatly opposed to Judge O'Berry's reappointment. As it was said in here, the truth needs no defense. And she had 30 plus people coming to her defense. You know, if that was needed, you know, the truth is not there. You know, so obviously what she had Dolores McQuinn indicate, she also stated there was problems in her early judgeship. Lupasi said she had problems in her judgment. You know, then she needed all of these attorneys to come in order to try and cheerlead for her. You know, so and like I said, I'm a big proponent that the truth needs no defense. If she was truly a good judge, like I've been sitting on this panel group pretty much most of the day, and all of the judges that came through, they went through with flying colors. They did not need any defendants, co-defendants, or anybody else to come to their rescue. You know, so with that being said, for this to have gone on as far as it's gone on with Judge O'Berry, the truth needs no defense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Denisha Potts, is that right? Denisha Potts, P-O-T-T-S?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, committee. My name is Denisha Potts. I am a former vice president of the Chesterfield branch NAACP, and I also served as an education chair. I am also a Richmond sworn CASA advocate as of August of last year. I do agree with Mr. Marks. Mr. Marks joined our branch and led our legal redress during a time. He came after I had pretty much actively served because I had to step down from my position running for election. I must agree with him. I'm appalled respectfully of the comments that Mr. Jim Holland, our board of supervisor, made, because I was the one who oftentimes would extend an invitation to Mr. Holland to come and be a part and share what he is doing in the community. Unfortunately, I am from North Carolina. When I relocated here, our judges have to run for office to be sitting judges on our benches. And unfortunately, when I moved here, the process is a little different. So as I was learning new processes and getting acclimated with our local branch, I was unaware of who to contact because of the numerous complaints we received of Judge O'Berry's behavior and her rulings in her courtroom. I can also say, in addition to those complaints, I witnessed with my very own eyes a situation in which a mother came before the judge with her attorney. It was over a traffic matter, and she had her 2 children, and Judge O'Berry immediately sentenced her to go to jail that day. She did not give this young lady, the young lady was not prepared for child care that day. The other individuals sitting in the court were in dismay. She just had little time to go back and convene a meeting. I'm sorry, someone is speaking in the background. But she had very limited time to consult with her attorney to make arrangements for someone to pick up her children. When she re-entered the courtroom to approach the Honorable Judge O'Berry, her attorney asked if she could do her time over the weekend. Judge O'Berry was not in agreement with that. She was dismissive to that option. This young lady had to quit her job. That's why she was unable, I believe, to pay on some fines. It is very uncomfortable for me. I wish I was sitting on the other side as an activist, as well as being discriminated against myself. I know what it's like. So please do not, committee, I beg of you, do not look at this as someone trying to use their political position and take a political stance to get people to gang up on her. Unfortunately, our branch at the time did not know who to communicate these complaints, these concerns and issues to had we known any differently. However, I heard some other individuals say that they did bring this up to respective delegates, although there was no act taken. I wish these individuals who were speaking in favor of Judge O'Berry would have extended or came and attended one of our branch meetings and asked us about how we think our judges are serving our communities. But I did not hear from any of these who are on this call and are participants in this hearing. So please, I beg of you to take in consideration the testimony that is being shared with you today. Thank you so much. You all have a wonderful weekend and happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Christopher Rashid Green. Christopher
Thank you.
Rashid Green. Hello?
Thank you, Senator Edwards. I'm here.
Go ahead.
Thank you, panel. Thank you for having me. My name is Christopher Rashad Green. I'm a community organizer here in the Richmond region, and I oppose her appointment. I oppose Judge O'Berry's appointment due to the fact that as a community organizer and observing her in the courtroom several times, I can honestly say that I'm opposing it due to the fact that I didn't see a level of understanding and empathy for most of the defendants that came before her. I am formerly incarcerated individual, so I know what the process is like, and just not seeing that level of empathy. You know, I think of gatekeeper when we think of individuals in those positions, and I really don't, and not wanting to really play the grace card. But I must say that I rarely, if ever, saw a black person even given bond in her courtroom, in her arraignment proceedings. So I oppose her appointment because there's a lack of empathy, of understanding, and how our community members are being treated. Most members that come before her, most defendants are living at or above, living at poverty levels or living poor. And so they're traumatized at that point. And I don't think that she has a level of empathy, understanding to really look out for the best interests of our community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me read some other names that will not comment. Weldon Bunn, no public comment. Tarsha Sneed, no public comment. These are ones against. Angela Jones, no public comment. Molly Mitchell, no public comment. Margie Brown, no public comment. Vida Huckerson, no public comment. Curtis Edwards, no public comment. Jennifer Yanda, no public comment. Judith Green, no public comment. Patty Smith, no public comment. Danita Claiborne, no public comment. Reverend Melvina Randolph, no public comment. Reverend Dwayne Randolph, no public comment. Joseph Durham, no public comment. Rose Jones, no public comment. Now, does anybody else have a need to say anything?
Mr. Chair.
Senator Edwards. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Judge O'Berry, let me ask a few questions, and I first want to comment by saying I've appeared in your court many times, and you always treated me very respectfully. I had no problems. I don't know if it was because I was in the legislature, but I've had personally no problems whatsoever. I've got to tell you, though, that what concerns me is that I've gotten over 100 comments and letters from the public, not from attorneys that have been rounded up to say something, but from the public regarding, and many of them involve the JPE, Judicial Performance Evaluation. So here's my first question. You distinguish between your hard skills and your soft skills. What did you mean by your hard skills? You've got to unmute, Judge, you have to unmute your...
Sorry.
There you go.
By hard skills, what I mean is my knowledge of the law, ability to understand the issues before me, attentiveness, being conscientious, those kinds of things, running an orderly court, using the time efficiently, those kinds of things. When I looked at the evaluations, I didn't think about just me setting categories for hard skills, soft skills, but I tried to break down the evaluation by
let me ask this question then.
Hard versus soft skill.
Senator Morthy.
With regard to the hard skills, the two hard skills, the knowledge of the law and the faithfulness to the law, of the 47 folk coming before us today, you were number 47 in both of those categories, those hard skills, knowledge of the law, and faithfulness to the law. And that's from your peers that, the litigants that have appeared before you this year. And what concerns me most is those soft skills. With regard to patience, you were next to last. Courtesy, next to last. Conscientiousness, dead last. Diligence, dead last. Out of 15 categories, you were almost at the bottom of it. And this is the skills with dealing with the people. The one that concerned me the most, and I'd ask you to comment on this, is the fairness and impartiality. Fairness to people that come before you. Your score was the lowest of all 47. How should we assess or comprehend that ranking?
You're talking about number 8?
Talking about fairness, number 72, and impartiality, last and next to last.
Fairness and impartiality. Senator Morsi, I don't know, I can't speak to how it looks statewide. I can only speak to who comes before me. The populace of the attorneys that come before me is different jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Every jurisdiction of judges has a different pool of attorneys which evaluate them. So I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison when you compare a judge who sits in Chesterfield County to a judge who sits in Lunenburg to a judge that sits in Arlington. We all have different pools of attorneys who evaluate us, and what a pool of attorneys see when they evaluate me may be different than what a pool of attorneys see when they evaluate a judge in Arlington. While they may see the same things, it's a different set of attorneys, it's a different demographic of attorneys, and so I can't speak to how it breaks down throughout the state.
But, well, Mr. Chair, let me ask a question about somebody that just dealing with apples and apples.
Very quickly, go ahead.
Sure. We all received a letter from your former deputy clerk who was just evaluating you.
I would love to address that.
Who was an African American, I believe.
Yes.
And she referred to you as, and I'm quoting, very rude, condescending to people. Attorneys would come and see you on the bench and would change their cases from not guilty pleas to continuances in order to avoid her. And then she ends by saying this: I have worked for many judges and she is by far the worst. When there are problems in her office, she doesn't speak to you in her office. She tries to embarrass you in front of the masses. It takes a certain degree of humbleness to remain a judge, and she doesn't embody that quality. She goes on to say that you're rude and mean-spirited. How should we evaluate your own deputy clerk that worked from you from 2016 to 2018?
Let's let Judge answer this.
Senator Morsi, I am really happy that you asked me that. I think what she said should be evaluated through the lens of the fact, as we would with any witness on the stand, whether or not she has bias. That clerk, and I won't give her name because I won't give her name, but that specific clerk left our office very soon after she was disciplined by me in my position as a chief judge. She was suspended without pay for several days because she made a grievous and preventable error in issuing a writ of eviction to evict a family before they had even had an opportunity to come before the court for the judge to rule that that there was an eviction that should issue. So she did not exercise any due diligence, and a family came within hours of being evicted under her mistake. So as chief judge, it was my responsibility to stand by the head clerk and support the decision that the head clerk made to suspend both that deputy clerk and another deputy clerk who participated in that grievous error that almost resulted in a family being evicted. And that is the bias, that is the lens through which everything that clerk says should be viewed.
Mr. Chair, can I have a final question?
Yeah, let's keep it very quickly. There are two other people that want to speak briefly.
One of the things that concerns me the most is that I received 35 complaints from attorneys that were afraid to come forward and reveal their name, but they certainly gave the incidents and the scenarios that occurred in their courtroom that are I've never seen anything like it. The fact that they fear retaliation, does that give you, these are 35 attorneys, does that give you any cause to be concerned that maybe the scores in the JPE summary are reflective of actually your behavior and in the courtroom?
I don't understand the connect between the attorney not wanting to come forward, because a whole list of attorneys just did, even though many of the attorneys on the list who spoke to me were personally contacted and asked not to speak for me by persons, not to speak for me today, and they stood tall for me and did speak. So I don't know why those 30 plus attorneys that you have a list of would choose not to speak. I don't know who they are. I have never exercised a bit of retribution against any attorney for a personal issue in a case. And I would defy any attorney to say that I ever have used a personal issue to impact what happened to their cases in court. That is just not who I am.
That have said they definitely want to speak briefly. Melissa Hoy, H-O-Y, is she here? Melissa Hoy wants to speak in favor of the judge. Melissa Hoy. The second person had her hand up, wants to speak. It's Stacy Lee. Is there Stacy Lee here? Definitely wants to speak in favor of the judge. Okay, then let me list some names of people who we skipped and all wanted to speak, but I'll list their names.
Senator,
yes.
They actually may be in the waiting room. The clerk said they bring them back. I don't know if Shannon heard. Yeah, I think Shannon is there back.
Yes, they're coming back. They might just need a second to unmute themselves.
All right, thank you.
Let me read the names of others that wanted to be mentioned. Mary Adams, Jennifer Nesbitt, this is in favor of the judge. Randy Roulette, Frank LaRuffa, Erica Battle, Gregory Sheldon, Teddy Wells, Jeff Enos, Renan Hewlett, Kent Gilliam, Ashley Sloan, David Clements, Tiffany Booker, James McLemore. I think I got them all. We can't continue. We could be here all day, I guess.
Well, but Senator, my concern is that everybody, that there was a technical issue, and that I don't know, Shannon, how many are here in favor that have not talked. I'd be curious to know.
Melissa Hoy and Stacy Lee, are they here?
Senator Edwards, I am present. I hope that you all can hear me.
Yes, Stacy Lee, please go ahead.
Stacy Lee, thank you, Senator Edwards, for the opportunity to speak. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I just want to speak briefly on behalf of Judge O'Barry and make two comments. One, I've had the pleasure of practicing here in the Commonwealth for just over 10 years now. In my latest capacity, or my last capacity rather, appearing before Judge O'Barry as an attorney for an insurance company. And what I can share with you all is, even though in my capacity serving on the other side of plaintiffs, I usually did not come out on the best end, because typically there were victims who needed to obviously receive compensation that my client did not necessarily want to provide. And Judge O'Barry, in every opportunity that I had to appear before her, was reasoned in her decisioning. She took the opportunity to articulate why she made the decision that she did. She listened and allowed me as an attorney to make my argument, and she was impartial. And that has happened in every time and every opportunity that I have been before her. But one of the things that I truly want to share, and I've heard everyone's opinion, and certainly everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I had the opportunity to have one of my family members contact in regard to Judge O'Barry. And she did not know the relationship at all that I had with O'Barry, if at any. But she said, I wanted to let you know that I went to court in Chesterfield. I had a traffic case, and I walked into the courtroom, and she said, I saw this. They were waiting on the judge to come out. And she said, the judge walked out, from behind the door, and I could not believe that there was an African American woman that was on the bench in Chesterfield County. And she said, you know, she heard my case, and I sat there, watched her, and I was just so incredibly proud. And even though I went up, and even though for whatever she had done that day, she said, I was so incredibly proud. I cannot wait for the opportunity to bring my children back to see and understand that this is something that they are able to achieve. So for those reasons, I put forth my just candid assurance in favor of Judge O'Barry, and I pray that you all will put her back on the bench. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is Melissa Hoy here? Melissa Hoy?
Senator Edwards?
Yes.
Yeah, Randy Roulette, you'd like to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just I'll be brief. I can't speak and explain some of the JPE results that we've gotten, but I can tell you that in 30 years of being on a daily basis and in front of Judge O'Barry countless times, probably every day of the week for many years, I think that I can say without reservation that I have found her to be fair, be respectful, and be a thoughtful jurist. And I'm absolutely confident that if you were to walk down the hallways of the Chesterfield General District Court and then informally just poll not only the lawyers, but litigants about their thoughts about Judge O'Barry, I think you would find amazing support for her and for her reappointment. And so I speak today asking this committee to reappoint Judge O'Barry for another term.
Okay, thank you all very much. Is Melissa Hoy?
Yes, I'm here, Senator Edwards. I wrote a letter on behalf of Judge O'Barry, and so you all should have that in your packet. But I want to say that I've been a prosecutor in Chesterfield since 1998. I have been in Judge O'Barry's courtroom weekly since she was elevated to the General District Court bench. And from my perspective, she has grown tremendously in her tenure on the bench, and I find her to be absolutely fair. She holds all participants accountable for their behavior, their demeanor, their preparedness. She herself is very knowledgeable in the law, and I would ask the committee to reappoint her.
Okay, thank you very much. That ends it.
Oh,
Okay.
Senator, Erica Battle had her hand up, and I believe there were others that were
Erica
asking to speak if
Battle.
you were willing.
Go ahead, Erica Battle. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for your time, and I know on this Friday everyone is eager to wrap things up, but thank you for allowing me to speak briefly. I have had the pleasure of practicing as a defense attorney in front of Judge O'Barry for the majority of the time that I've been allowed to practice law. I've also had the pleasure of having experience as a Commonwealth's attorney. I do serve as the deputy Commonwealth's attorney in the county of Surrey, so I have a little bit of different aspect when practicing in front of Judge O'Barry. I'll let the committee know I have had the pleasure to receive advice and mentorship from Pamela O'Barry over the years that I have been practicing. And although it's unfortunate, I do not have many role models that look like myself that serve on the judiciary, and it is a pleasure that I speak to you today on her behalf because of her demeanor, her ability to articulate sound reasoning when making decisions from the bench. And it is one day something I strive to be, and I'm hoping that you see fit to reappoint her to the bench, because I think all of us, including the other attorneys that have appeared here today, deserve a person to look up to. And for me, that is Pamela O'Barry. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, yes.
May I speak? This is Tiffany Booker as well.
Tiffany Booker, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I would also echo the sentiments of Erica Battle. She just spoke as well. I think I come to you all with a bit of uniqueness. I used to be a former assistant Commonwealth attorney in Chesterfield County. So I was able to practice in front of her in that role. In addition to now I am a criminal defense attorney. So I've been on both sides of the fence. And every single time that I have been in front of her courtroom, I have observed a judge who is knowledgeable in the law, consistent, fair, patient, neutral, merciful, and a great listener. I see that she treats everyone with respect. and treats every case as individualized. I see that she's ruled justly according to legal precedent, law, and evidence. And just want to give a specific example that I had a case in front of her while being a criminal defense attorney where there was a potential issue for an illegal search. She ruled that day in court in favor of the Commonwealth. And then she came back later to both counsels and said that, you know what, I think I might have made the wrong decision. If you guys could brief the issue and then come back and make arguments. So that way she knew that she was going to be ruling in accordance with the law. So after further thought, she provided us that opportunity. And based off of that, she did ultimately rule in favor of the Commonwealth. But this is the type of demeanor and unwavering commitment to justice that is exactly what the justice system needs to ensure fairness and impartiality for the administration of justice. And so for those reasons, I would ask that you reappoint Judge O'Barry to the Chesterfield County General District.
Okay, thank you. Now, I hope, is that it?
Senator Edwards?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Senator Edwards, my name is Frank LaRoof. I'd like to say something briefly.
Go ahead, briefly. You called you early. Go ahead, briefly.
Thank you. I've known Judge O'Barry for 26 years. We worked together as public defenders. We opposed each other when she was a Commonwealth attorney. I've practiced in front of her for the last 9 years. I'm a resident of Chesterfield County. I find her to be a fair jurist, but most importantly, I believe that she has listened to each and every comment that's been made, both for her and against her. And I truly believe that she's going to listen to those and grow from them and feel confident that you are going to have an absolutely great General District Court judge moving forward, one who continues to be passionate, as the last two speakers have said, one who's going to be faithful to the law, and one who is going to make sure that she has, as she put them, both the soft and the hard skills in place. So I urge to reappoint her as well.
Thank you very much. Again, are we finished? Thank you very much, Judge O'Barry. Thanks for being here. All of you all who showed up, wrote letters, and spoke. We appreciate everybody's comments very, very much. Now, without objection, we will move forward. We have
Hey, Senator, I'm so sorry. It looks like Delegate Mullen's hand is up. Did he want to say something?
Delegate Mullen?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I might speak for a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
Senator Edwards, this is Joe Morrissey. We heard from Delegate Mullen 3 times. I am the senior senator that's on the Judiciary Committee. I've spoken once. Delegate Mullen, this is the 3rd time we've spoken.
Well, let's hear what he says. Delegate Mullen, what do you have to say?
Mr. Chair, I firmly believe that decisions about local judiciary should be made by the localities and the representatives that have been made. I just wanted to remind the members and those in the public here today that what we are doing is making a recommendation of fitness for office, not for whether or not we would like that person to be on the bench. And those elections will happen in the upcoming session.
That's right. Yes, we're finished now with the hearings. No further comments about Judge O'Barry. We're moving on to, we have 5 other judges. Hopefully be quick. Judge Craig Duncombe.
Yes, sir.
General District Court.
Thank you, Judge.
District.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Judge Duncombe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Judge.